versus how you may have done it in the past.
Oh, you mean my diet associated with
Well,
it, like
just the
my
whole thing,
or
like
not
how
that?
you navigated the whole trip.
I think I would have what I would have done differently maybe is when he was in the first hospital, which was God hospitals in San Salvador.
Mm.
Um, they weren't the best. I would have been more aggressive with him at the time. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what our options were, and we would have got him out of there sooner, honestly. But he got lucky to go to a better hospital in San
Mhm.
Salvador that helped him. So, looking back, I would have been more aggressive with him. We didn't know what we didn't know. So,
Oh, yes. And thank you for sharing that, but I meant even about yourself, how you
oh,
handled yourself during the situation.
I
But
don't
yes, you
know.
did really good on that.
I don't know what I would have done differently for myself.
You stayed very
Um,
grounded. So
yeah, I don't know if I can answer that question.
that's all right. That's okay.
Uh, I just had to keep my daughter grounded.
Mhm, mhm,
So, that. So I don't know if I would have done anything differently.
mhm. Okay.
I don't know. Just tried to stay solid for her. So,
Yeah. But you managed to, I think, so I'll help you out with this because I was in the background.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't even know.
I was, so I'm going to help her out with this. So she actually stayed very grounded and and you managed to prioritize yourself, even though you were managing a lot of different things. So just to guys put it in perspective, just Deb shared with me, like, it was like a last minute thing about 2 weeks ago. She messaged me and said, "Oh my God, I have to fly to El Salvador. My son's or my daughter's boyfriend got into a big accident out of the country." Well, those of you that know me, and I was like, "Go, go ASAP and go help," because I've been in that situation myself.
Hmm.
But she really did a good job of navigating it because here she is in a foreign country. She's, trying to help support. And I know the situations, in a hospital, there's a lot of moving pieces in there, being an advocate for somebody and also supporting not just, him, but her daughter. But where I saw you stay very focused is you showed up for yourself the best that you could. And I think maybe you don't recognize it, but you, by prioritizing yourself and keeping your own cup full, you were able to stay grounded and navigate a situation that you may not have been able to. And then again, as I said, you even came back, a little bit less weight because you didn't just throw yourself out the window, and
Nope.
everything about you. And that's where I was going with it. You controlled what you could control
Hmm.
and you navigated the best you could. You stayed in communication with me. The food there wasn't exactly what you needed. You didn't have time to plan or prepare. You just had to take off. So that's really, I think, the biggest piece is you really were very well aware. And I think that's why the
Yeah.
situation went the way it did. So anyway, I think that's a great win for you. And I'm glad you're back and I'm glad
Thanks.
he's
Thanks.
okay and all of those things because that is the scary situation. Who else has got some wins for me? All right. I'm gonna call on one, two more people and
I got
then
a mindset win of just being 100%,
oh,
just dialed in and no licks, bites, or taste, and just this is where I'm at and this is what I'm doing. And yes, I've seen scale, which is good, but just the mindset of this is what I've got to do and I'm not messing around. So that's a win for me.
I love that. And you know what I love about this too, guys, is, many of you know Kate's been on this journey for a while, and we're always going to have our ebbs and flows and our seasons. And, Kate is very, I mean, Kate has had amazing results and has had great things happen. And, to hear her say that, guys, is to know that we always, and this is kind of leading me into a little bit of what I want to talk about today, we always have to sometimes bring ourselves back to baseline. Like it is like there's like no magic thing that says once we're done with this program, once we do a month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, at no point in my life, I've been on this journey for a while, have I not had to bring myself back to baseline sometimes. And sometimes it's conversations with yourself. Sometimes it's like doing things like Kate said, like my win is she's committed to being 100% across the board. They're these own little personal things that we do with ourselves. And that's part of what this is about, is becoming very aware so that we are able to catch ourselves, bring ourselves back in, but also be aware of the conversations that we have to have with ourselves, because each one of us is unique and individual to move forward. So for Kate, she's like, no licks, bites, and tastes. Now, for some of you, you might be like, well, that's a bit whatever. Like it might not feel like something that you need to do, but like Kate is very aware that if I put this into place, this is what's going to bring me back to baseline. So, this is something that is a lifelong process. Sometimes I hear, you know, when will I be back to normal? What is normal? What is normal? Right? Defining normal. Like sometimes I think we feel like what is normal. Remember, what we're working through is we're stepping into a different identity, a 2.0 version of ourselves, a different version of ourselves, and that version of ourselves does show up differently. So I think a lot of times we're like, well, normal. Here's the thing, that the idea and the goal isn't to stay in the existing identity. It's to evolve into a different identity, a 2.0. Some of you are in 3.0, 2.5 versions of yourself, but to keep evolving. And what happens is, again, like we talked about, you create this awareness, but things start to become easier. This conversation that Kate just brought up is an easier conversation she can have with herself now than she would have 6 months ago. And Brenda, you actually spurred part of this conversation as well. You messaged me in your check-in about some things that had happened, and I asked you to think about it. And I was like, well, what could you have done differently? And your perspective was completely different. So Brenda had her first week where things kind of went off the rails. But the point is like when she messaged me back, she's like, but I caught it. Took me a little longer to get myself back. And I asked her to dig a little bit deeper. And I said, well, what could you have done to get yourself back to baseline even faster? But and you can talk about this, Brenda, if you want, but she talked about like the past version of her would have thrown in the towel, where this one, she just said, no, reset, reframe, look at things differently. What were some of the things you told me this morning, Brenda? Because I love that.
Yeah, staying, well, the other thing I didn't put on there was multitasking.
Mhm.
And what I did is I took the same thing that we do at work
Mhm.
and applied it to myself. Because at work, you affect your coworkers, your customers when and you have to hold yourself accountable for at work. So why not apply those same rules to yourself, which is staying focused, stop. I have to kind of go back and read what I wrote because um I thought I worded that pretty good. If I can if I can find it again. Um
But that's a
but
lot.
yeah.
Yeah, you talked about like really becoming
Becoming.
aware. That was one of the
Yes.
things you said. And then you talked about, which is exactly what I wanted. You led me right in today's call. Then stopping, right? And
Yep.
so creating that awareness, stopping, recognizing the pattern, and then like how quickly can I rethink about this and apply it
Yes.
and look at it differently, which is exactly what I wanted to talk about. So you're good. If you find it, you can let me know. But so guys, this is something that I want to, a lot of us go through this. There's stress, like a lot of you guys can feel stress. And this has been a conversation that I've been having with a few of you guys in different areas on different topics. There's internal stress, there's external stress. And a lot of these things that happen to us and is lifing, right? And a lot of it is what we don't recognize is that 1.0 version of ourselves, that identity is, it's a version of ourselves that runs on autopilot. It's been running on autopilot our entire life. And you spend days, hours, a lot of time consistently choosing things that are unconscious thoughts of yours. So like 90, I've talked about this before. 95 or 96% of your thoughts on a daily basis are unconscious. They are things that you do on autopilot. You repeating patterns daily, moment after moment. Like it's just like it's the same thought, same pattern. And your subconscious mind is built on repetition. So whether the thoughts are shiny, polished, fun thoughts, or they're thoughts like I talk about talking, negatively to this other identity of their negative thoughts, things like, I wish I could, or whatever that might be. I can't, this type of language, most of it comes from things like fear, past fears, lack of. A lot of times it just comes from blame. Let's just blaming ourselves. Worst case scenarios. Like we have this pattern specifically as females, as our subconscious mind just likes to repeat these types of things. So one of the things that can be helpful that Brenda was talking about is creating awareness around our thoughts and our patterns and then resetting the framework around it. And what I've been listening to actually, it's not a podcast, but it's been like a little mini course that I've been going through. And they give a very good way of tackling this and some framework that I really wanted to share with you guys. And they call it REST, RST, or reset. And one of the first things to do, and this is what actually Brenda did, and it brought my attention to it, is you want to catch or recognize the thought in real time. So whatever it is, whether it's I can't do this, this is hard. Again, a lot of times this is just based around, not even weight loss, guys, anything, but examples are, just catching yourself in the moment. And sometimes what we can do is just even spend, I would encourage you guys, I'm going to kind of go through this quickly, but spend a day just being aware. And we've talked about this before. When you catch yourself in one of those loops or patterns, like just watch yourself all day. Here's an example of how you know you go into autopilot. Has anybody drove to work and then got there and not realized how you got there?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
that is your brain in autopilot, okay? That means you are very aware of the actions you're doing, but during that time you were driving, your brain was thinking and doing all of these unconscious things, and you don't even remember what you were thinking, but your brain was thinking. So trying to be aware and catch yourself of those thoughts. Sometimes those thoughts could be, God damn it, the weather sucks today and I can't get out and walk and get my steps. God damn it, this is an inconvenience. It could be a story about, like I said earlier, fear. You're afraid of doing something because, of it's just fear of failing, fear of what if I'm not enough. A lot of times it's, there's things about I'm not enough. Like starting to catch those thoughts in your mind, recognize them, don't judge them. Just recognize them. Simple. Don't judge them or anything, just see where they are. So that's like one of the biggest pieces is just recognizing it. Then once you start to recognize it, and this is what Brenda did and was talking about, then comes the S, the stop. So stop. I like to say, you've heard me say this before, stop, drop, and roll, right? Stop, drop, and roll. Or you've also heard me say it's the power of the pause, right? And this is where when you recognize a pattern, you want to pull yourself out of anything negative stress related, whatever that might be, as quickly as possible. So as you recognize it, can you stop? And when you stop, pivot and do what's called like a pattern interrupt. So interrupt the mental loop, the pattern that is coming. Like, Tina, there's going to be a change in your life, and you're thinking about all of the things that might change in your current routine. This is an example. Stop, right? You want to change that thought pattern, and instead of going down the road of all of the fears and thoughts and the things that you're like, holy shit, these are all the things that could happen because my life, my routine is going to change. Stop that mental loop and get out of the autopilot thinking, guys. And the easiest way to do that is what's called a pattern interrupt. Interrupt the situation. Stand up if you're sitting down. Sit down if you're standing up. Go for a walk. Move yourself out of the situation. Move the body. Change the situation. Go do something different. Get yourself physically out of the situation. So it doesn't matter what that is, but it'll start to shift you out of that autopilot. So again, changing physically, doing something differently. Here's a line, I wrote this down, I have notes. A line that landed with me when I was listening to it this morning was, you don't need to fix the thought. You need to stop feeding it. You don't need to fix the thought. You need to stop feeding it. Jennifer Dittman. You don't need to fix the thought. You need to stop feeding it. When I say feeding it, guys, I'm not talking about spooning food into your mouth. I'm talking about feeding it, because we can sometimes spend, who's done this? Days, hours, maybe months, rehashing and telling ourselves a story about something that we don't even know to be true. Again, I'm not picking on you, Tina, but like, we were going back in the conversation and you created a whole scenario around something that hasn't even happened yet.
I do that a lot.
So that's like, we all do. I bet you, raise your hand if you've done that before, because I guarantee you every hand's going to go up in here. Yeah, we start to create
Yeah.
a scenario about like what's going to happen around it.
Automatically go to the worst scenario.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to go to the worst scenario. So then the T part of it, guys, is then to think differently. So if you shift and move your body, get yourself out of the autopilot and then start to think differently, replacing the pattern with intent. So be very intentional when you start to redirect the conversation. So focusing on something else. This can be super simple. So if you can stop, drop, and roll, interrupt the autopilot, now think about something else. So instead of thinking about, I'm going to continue to use Tina because her story is fresh in my mind about like, oh my gosh, these things are going to happen. My life is going to change.
Go ahead.
How am I going to do all of these things? Redirect the pattern. So stop the autopilot thinking and then think differently. So now change it with a better thought. Think about something differently. And you don't have to try to force yourself to think about something positive about that situation. Just pull into mind something that makes you happy. That's it. That's all you have to do. What's going to make you smile? It's that simple. We overcomplicate things.
Yes.
Think about something that is going to make you happy. I don't know, maybe it's spring, maybe it's a flower, maybe it's your favorite bouquet. Like I'm serious about this. Like, don't overcomplicate it. It should just be something that brings joy to you. It could be, the sunset, something that you can visualize and just change the thinking pattern, redirect. And what you're doing is you just redirect your focus. And in that little short amount of time, guys, you can start pulling yourself out of these places and start to ground yourself. And then when you start to ground yourself, you're able to start to step back, look at the situation for it is, and start to think logically. I'm pulling this all together to where you start to like out now I'll pull it back to Kate, where Kate pulls it out, she's grounded, she's thinking about the things in a little bit different way, and now she can redirect it and go, well, wait a minute, this isn't as big a deal as I thought it was. This is as simple as me showing up 100%. And I guarantee you, she didn't say to herself, I'm going to show up 100% for the next 30, 40, 50, 6 months. She's looking at it. I'm going to show up 100% today. I'm going to show up 100% tomorrow. I'm going to show up 100%. Like, she's doing this on a day to day basis, because otherwise it's going to overwhelm her. And then she's setting herself back into that negative thought pattern. And sometimes we don't even realize it's a negative thought pattern. Does that make sense, guys?
Mhm.
So go ahead, add to it, because you also, like I said, your message to me was very, I was like, God, she's on
Yeah.
wavelength.
Yeah, okay. I found what I found what I wrote. And what I did is I took the same things that we do at work when the top dog comes to you and say, "Okay, you screwed up, you fixed it. Now how do you prevent it?" So we have to do the same thing. So what I wrote was take a minute before I act to prevent panic of over or under eating. Stay calm so my emotions don't interfere with my decision making. That happens in your personal life and that happens at work. Quickly assess the situation, then concentrate on what you can control and don't let your old habits take control of what you can't. And that's what happened to me is didn't I had the food. I just didn't have it prepared. My son comes home, he's making this big dinner and I ate it,
Mhm.
you know, cuz the old habits came back in. But then I quickly got my stuff out, got it prepared for the next day. But what do? The next day I go to a dang crab leg buffet. But here on this one, I'm like, okay, I learned from yesterday, but I didn't eat the crap stuff at the buffet. I just overate on the good stuff, the protein, I ate too much of that. So it's like, nope, got to get back on. And then, so then the next day I concentrated on taking my next steps, no matter how small they were, to get me back on track with my nutrition plan. So I was partly there on Friday. I ate just a little bit too much of the protein,
Mhm.
which, puts you way over. So, and then Saturday I was back on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, real live action, she kind of said it a little bit differently, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. So, she recognized the pattern, guys, and instead of going down the negative thought where she could have started beating herself up and saying, I'm bad, I shouldn't have done this, blah, 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 she literally pulled herself out, kind of followed the example. She was aware of it. She stopped, she reassessed, she tried, and it's all about how fast can we get back to baseline, and she tried to pull herself back to baseline, slipped a little bit again, and then pulled herself back within by the end of the week. But the pattern, she kept repeating the pattern, and that's a skill set that you guys want to learn, because like I said in the beginning of the call, this is never going to go away. You're always going to have moments where you're going to have to pull yourself back to base, but how fast can you reset? How fast can you create that awareness, stop, drop, and roll? Like, and then, stop, like assess it, then stop the pattern and then rethink about it in a different way. So I'm really saying a lot of the same things you've heard me say before, but in a different way. What she didn't do was what I said before. She didn't try to fix the thought. She stopped feeding it. Make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Additional thoughts. Helpful.
Yes, it's very helpful. And I'm glad you used me as an example because I needed to hear it.
Well, exactly. And here's the thing, don't beat yourself up, like, and I'm, you know, Tina or anybody here, because here's the truth. You ready for some truth bombs? Our brain freaking loves negativity.
Yes, it does.
It does, guys. It does.
Yeah.
It's just a fact, and it's something that it just really does. And we will rehearse worst case scenarios in our mind on repeat. It's normal. But we have to remember that overthinking not does not create solutions. It creates more anxiety.
Oh,
Hmm.
And I love what you said about the negativity, because I think we have all grown up in this all or nothing mindset
Hmm.
of we have to be perfect, we have to look a certain way, we have to do certain things. And we get into this screw it mindset. I made a mistake. You know, Brenda could have said, oh, I screwed up yesterday. Oh, I went here and I overate this, and then forget it. I'm just going to start over on Monday.
Hmm.
And we get into that mindset. And I think when you're, I don't want to say in the start of the journey, I did it more at the start of my journey of that all or nothing mindset, is that I'm never going to change. I can't change these habits. These habits, you know, I want to eat the food I want to eat, and I want to, you know, and I think we get into that mindset of we can't change our thoughts, and we can.
Hmm.
And I think you progressively learn how to change those thoughts and to pivot and to lean in and do all those things. And that's what we're learning, is these tools in our toolbox on how to take care of ourselves and switch our mindset, and, you know, lean into the nutrition and the workouts and putting all of the puzzles together.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I love that. Yeah. And and again, guys, hear what's being said here. Like, I love what you just said, Kate. Like, it's it's never going to go away. But we're going to get better at recognizing it. I mean, I myself have these moments where I want to just go, fuck it, I'm irritated with whatever it is. It doesn't, but I'm better at pulling myself back to baseline. I just get better and better at it as you go through the program. And that's where, and I love what she said about, like, it isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent and, again, creating that awareness. Like, again, going back to Brenda, like, Kate is truly, absolutely right. Like, she could have continued to go down that path, but she went, nah, let me just pull myself back. And she got back to baseline. And where in the past, we just always want to start over again. So remember, the brain is a powerful thing, and it's always going to want to operate on autopilot. So the best thing to do is to, like, that's why I like stop, drop, and roll. You guys will hear me say this over and over on your check-ins. I'll say, like, okay, let's look at what just happened, and how can we create awareness, because that's lifing. And then how do we pause and look at it and pivot so that we can learn from it and then behave differently in the future. And the reason why, like, I always meet you guys with questions, I'm sure I irritate you sometimes. Like, instead of giving you an answer, I come back with a question, because I want you start to create your own solutions on things, like creating that awareness so that long after I'm out of your life, you know how to manage these situations, and you're able to quickly assess and almost do it yourself. And you'll get better and better at it with the reps. It's kind of like building a muscle.
mhm.
It's the muscle of the mind. So, things that you can, even questions that you could ask yourself. I wrote some stuff down. Mm, what is one thought? These are just things for you to think about after this call. What is one thought you keep repeating that's keeping you feeling like right where you are right now? Like, and I don't want to say stuff like, so again, Tina, where did she go? I
Yeah.
lost her. Oh, there she
I'm
is.
here.
what is the one thing, and I'm just speaking to you right now, that's keeping you in this pattern of the what if, right? And all of the things. And I don't want you to answer it right now, but like as you start to recognize those feelings coming up about this uncertainty, this fear about change, and all of this stuff coming up and how it's going to affect you, how do you like, what is that one little thing that's causing that chain reaction that you keep repeating to yourself? Because there's a message, guys. A lot of times when the negativity comes in, what you want to listen to is the message that part of you is telling. There's a part of you giving you a message. It could be something like, I'm going to just lean into generally what it is because of females. It's usually something like, we're not good enough. What are people going to think? Like there's always something that's linked to that thought pattern, that action that may not be as positive as we want it to be. Alyssa, I see you smiling. Like sometimes you and I have conversations around this as well. Like you've been open to me. Like sometimes it's about like, well, what will others think if I do X, Y, Z? So like recognizing, is it just, is it that, or is there other things that are attached to it? Because once you guys are able to recognize like what that thing is, now you're aware of it. Oh, now like Alyssa, you're able to go, oh, well, that's what this is. And well, actually, I don't really give a crap about it. Like you can start to like dig into these things a little bit more. So just things that you can kind of start to get real curious with yourselves about. And the more curious you get with yourself about why certain things come up, why patterns arise, the more you're going to learn about yourself. Like who's ever heard me talk about brain dumping before? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Brain dumping. Like it's like journaling, but I call it brain dumping. When that stuff comes up and you start asking these questions, like, why did I think that? Whatever comes into your head, write it down. And then if you look at what you wrote down, you're like, well, I write that down. Ask another question about it because your subconscious mind will start to pull out all of those things. And then all of a sudden you're looking at it on paper. And so that's one thing. It gives you another perspective or awareness of it, but it also gets it out of here onto here. So it's about it takes it, basically what it does is it pulls it from the subconscious mind to the conscious mind and now creates that awareness around it just by writing it down. I had a client once, I'll share a story with you, that was doing this. And this was a few years ago. And she had just had a lot of things built up. And I said, just start brain dumping at the end of the night. Everything that's in your head, all the thoughts, the stuff, the things that you're seeing, like whatever, like, and start asking, getting very curious with yourself about things. She messaged me back either that night or later that morning. She goes, oh, I don't like what's showing up on this paper. It's ugly. It literally kind of scared her. And I said, keep writing, get it out. That's why you have to do it. So she kept doing it and kept doing it. And I would say within it really wasn't as long as one would think. It would be within a week. I think she had done her next check-in and she was like, I don't have as much to write anymore. And it completely shifted the way that she was showing up for herself. Sometimes it's just as simple as getting curious with yourself and allowing yourself to versus sit with all that shit to get it out. Now you're looking at it and it's kind of like, it sounds silly to write about it, but now it's out and it's in a visible place where you're able to look at it. And sometimes it just feels better. So it's another way of getting, asking yourself questions is then just physically writing down the answers to it. And then suddenly you'll find yourself with the solution. You're like, huh, that's interesting. I didn't even realize that was the way I was thinking about X, Y, or Z. Cindy's walking with a broken foot.
Wow. Go, Cindy, go.
Oh, Cindy dropped a cutting board on her toe and broke it.
Oh, no.
Let's see your boot, Cindy. Are you really walking in a boot? She can't turn her camera around.
You're taking that
Yeah,
step challenge seriously.
it's a
Not
little
even,
challenging.
is it challenging? You don't look like you're limping too bad.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. The soreness is kicking in, but shit happens.
Yeah. Well, listen to your body, mama. Don't push it too hard.
I know. It's
It's
just
just
a
a
it's just a toe. It's not a leg or a taxi. I don't I can hang.
True. Thank goodness it was a cutting board and not a taxi.
Yeah.
But still, it's not just a toe. Listen to it. You know, your big toe, here's a funny point. Actually, glad you brought this up. So your big toe is a huge point of balance, and it actually has a lot
Yes.
to do with like your strength in your workouts and things like that. Like it's a piece of your balance. How do I know that? Because literally mine has been numb for a while. It's starting to wake up. And it actually, your big toe, like I'm gonna just take this into a workout. So like when you guys are doing leg presses, squats, you always hear me say push with your full foot.
Yeah.
Your foot has a tripod. You're supposed to use your heel and your big toe. When you press like that, you are engaging your full leg, like you're engaging your quads, your glutes. And so your big toe is a very big piece of not just weightlifting, like a lot of people say drive with your heels. You should always have your toe and your heel and your baby toe. Your baby toe usually always connects, but thinking of pushing through your toe and your heel. That being said, when you walk, the next time you walk, where do you push off of? Your foot rolls and it pushes off your toe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what the podiatrist said yesterday, and it was funny because I
It's your
did
balance.
yeah, it's becoming aware of it, and it was late Sunday night that it happened. So Monday I had legs and I was like, I'm going to train before I go to the doctor. Right. So it was early anyway. And I was like, as long as he doesn't take away my training, I'm good. So I'm like, I better get my workout in before I go to the doctor. So I did. And he said exactly what you just said about your toe. So it'll be interesting to see when I do have legs again. And he was like, just be very conscientious of how it feels. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it, modify it, because you'll really become aware how impactful your big toe is when you train.
Yep. Well, and that's why you want to be really careful. This is me coaching you a little bit on this call with your training because you don't want to set yourself back even further.
Yeah.
Like literally taking a week off and not training legs or just not any of the pressing movement would be more beneficial to you than pushing it. Like again,
Yeah.
if
I
you
don't have
feel
legs again until Friday, I think. So I've got a few days to feel it out. But yeah, he said that exact thing. And I really, before I broke my toe, had no idea how much you use that part of your foot when you train.
Mhm.
You don't think about it.
No, you don't. You definitely don't think about it till it's gone, and it is very, very impactful. And the only reason that when you say that, it brought it up to me because my nerve was gone to mine. So you have a nerve, guys, that runs like the big mesh of it is right here in your leg. If you were to look at like a diagram of the full body that shows the muscles and the nerves, so it sits right here, and then it wraps around your shin. You guys can't see it, and it actually comes down the side of your foot here and then across the top of your foot into your toe. Well, that's where I got cut into 7 times over and over
Um,
and over again. So that nerve, it's still numb here, but what we're starting to discover is it was affecting everything. So I couldn't squat for a long time, but it had more to do with that nerve. So how I discovered it, guys, this is how much you should be aware. I'll just tell you this quickly. So I've been training. I kind of had to back away from back squats because I didn't have the stability that I needed in them. And it was a little rougher for me to execute them. So I've been skinning a horse a different way, using different exercises as well. I've had a coach pushing me a little bit more because I was having, again, we all have these struggles. So my wire in my brain was having a hard time deciphering how to train my leg ever since my accident. There was a piece of me that wanted to push really, really super hard. Who can identify with that? I wanted to get back on the track. I was Cindy. Let me just do this shit. I got to get it. I want myself back. I know I can do this. I'm strong enough. I'm powerful enough. Like having that conversation with myself, don't be a weakling, step up, move, move, move. You can do this. Like that was my thought pattern to where I would push myself so hard that I really wasn't doing myself any good. But then there was a piece of me that would also baby me myself. There was a piece of me that would have a fear. PST is a real thing that would go off, and I would suddenly see myself laying on the ground with my legs snapped in two. And I did not want that again. So there was this version. And so I hired a coach to start working with me on leg day. He works with me once a week to help me navigate that. So I was pushing hard enough. Well, what we discovered as we've been pushing is I was doing single leg presses. My foot was going numb. I was like, the fuck? And he'd be like, and I was pushing, we were like challenging me past fatigue into failure. And I was way stronger than we thought I was. And that wasn't a fun thing to find out. Like, I think I did 3 sets of 30 on a single leg press. Every time I took a deep breath to say, is this failure or fatigue? It was fatigue. I was literally in tears. I wanted to fail. I wasn't failing. He kept slamming weight on it. That was like the worst thing in the world. Anyway, we discovered, so I told my PT, I said, my foot's going numb. When I train, he goes, well, what do you mean numb? I said, I can push the weight. I'm fine. I said, but I can't feel my foot after a certain point of time. Is this, and of course, I was just concerned, is this a problem? He taped my ankle yesterday and he had me come in and my knee. Well, he's the one who pointed it out. He says, I think I know what it is. And it's this nervous system and it's running because he asked me a bunch of questions. We taped me yesterday and my foot never went numb.
Mm.
It has everything to do with the nervous system. So he taped my ankle and he taped my knee and had me go in and do my workout. As soon as I took the tape off, though, 3 hours later after my workout, my foot went numb. It came back again, but that's how, like, and again, it goes back to the big toe. So, Cindy, I say this whole story so that you heard me loud and clear. And whether it's just a big toe, it is freaking important. So do not overdo it. It's a very important tool. So there you go. You got a fun little story about me. But I did squat yesterday. Go me. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. All right. Helpful, guys. Any questions, concerns about this? Did you learn something that you could put into effect this week, today?
Yeah.
Yes? Tina?
Yes. Yes.
Amber?
I'm going to transfer those negative thoughts into positive thoughts.
Yes. I love that. Hi, Barb. We haven't seen you in a while. Good to see your smiling face. Stacy's working out. I can see her leg. Jen, Amber, anything you want to add to that before we hang up? It was a good call.
Mm-hmm.
They're staying quiet. I don't think they have anything to add.
I was just getting ready for work. No, all great things. I just wanted to share a win, actually.
Okay.
So, you know how we do that vision board at the beginning of the year?
Mm-hmm. It ties into
Like
this.
everything I put on there, like it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been working on paying off some debt, and my husband and I just paid off our windows the other day.
Nice.
So that was like a huge win because we've been stashing money away, putting it away, and like all of a sudden we looked and we're like, holy crap, we have enough money that we could pay him off. So we did, because interest rate, we got him at a really high interest rate. It was like 11% interest rate. And I fucking hate paying interest on anything. And
Yeah.
so like that was our number one. So woohoo.
Woohoo. And again, that just ties into the conversation because vision boards and all of those things, guys, they're just about rewriting those thoughts. There's so many different ways that you can do it. And again, when you change the way that you look at things,
Anything is possible.
Anything is
It
possible.
literally is just all in the mindset, like really. And I keep uh, getting a deeper level of that each
Mhm.
and every month, every year, every time that I'm like revisited with look at the bigger picture, zoom out, and not because I'm such a feeling person and go, go, go all the time. And so I have to stop and just think, how am I talking to myself? Again, like that ties into everything that we've been talking about. It's like huge. It's huge. It like changes perspective on everything and it allows me to be the best version of myself.
Mhm.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right, guys. That's all I got for you today. I'm so glad to see all your smiling faces. I hope that you all took a nugget that you can apply this week to this. And just remember, guys, it's just reset. Stop, drop, and roll. That's the way I like to say it. But really recognize whatever it is. Spend some time this week really trying to recognize some of the patterns and the things that you notice about yourself. Remember, don't judge. There's no judgment. Don't judge yourself. Just stop, look at it, and then challenge yourself to rethink. And the best way to stop the autopilot, to be honest with you, is to physically move your body. Whether you go for a walk or something, but just try to shift yourself a little bit, like getting out of and think about it this way: when you drive to work and you don't remember the drive, what pulls you out of it when you get out of the car, right? That's
Yep.
that movement. So it's the same thing. So when you catch yourself in that autopilot, it's like, you stepped out of the car, you're like, wait, how did I get here? That's kind of the same pattern. And then once you recognize, well, how did I get here? Then it's about like rechanging that thought pattern. So see if it works, guys. All right, have a great week. I am going to go to the gym and train shoulders, and I will see you guys all in the app. Peace.